This very beautiful lady, due to her loose mouth and habit of speaking without thinking, has ruined many homes and friendships. One day, she completely lost control and ended a 10-year relationship, even though the couple was already engaged. What happened to her next will leave you shocked and emotional. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today, we're discussing a captivating latest Nigerian movie that is more than just entertainment. It's packed with valuable lessons. You won't want to miss this, so let's dive in. The movie begins with a gateman who accidentally crashes his boss's car. He explains to his boss, Melvin, what happened, but instead of understanding, Melvin teaches him a harsh lesson. He calls the elderly man names and even slaps him, despite the gateman offering to pay for the damages with his salary. Melvin's girlfriend witnesses this and calls him out on his behavior, but when she tries to correct him, he chases her out and walks away. In that same neighborhood, a young lady named Rosa, known for saying whatever she hears, goes to console a woman named Nneka, who is grieving. After sympathizing with her, Rosa starts talking about what she heard regarding Nneka's late boyfriend. She claims he died while having an affair because he took an herbal drink to satisfy another woman. Rosa continues spilling all she knows about the incident, which infuriates Nneka. In anger, Nneka pours water on Rosa and chases her away as she cries. Later that day, while Rosa is at her mother's shop, her mother confronts her about where she went that morning. Apparently, Nneka had spoken to her disrespectfully, asking her to warn Rosa. Rosa's mother scolds her for spreading unnecessary information, but Rosa justifies herself. Her mother is troubled by Rosa's reckless mouth, but Rosa remains unfazed, focusing on the food she is eating while her mother tries to teach her a lesson. The next day at Melvin's house, his secretary comes to deliver some documents. Everything seems fine until she mistakenly squeezes his shirt. In a fit of rage, Melvin grabs her by the neck, insults her, and throws her out of his house. Later that morning, Rosa's mother is deep in thought about her daughter's future. She calls Rosa for a serious conversation, pointing out that she is in her early 30s and still unmarried. She brings up a mechanic who likes Rosa, but Rosa refuses to consider him because of his terrible mouth odor. Her mother insists that the issue can be resolved, but Rosa should focus on getting married first. This frustrates Rosa, who storms off. Her mother then sits back, pondering how bad the odor must be if it can chase away more than 5 people. That same day at Melvin's dining table, he loses his temper over a delay in getting hot water for his tea. He calls his maid, Grace, and scolds her harshly. When she tries to explain, he shuts her up and nearly hits her before storming off without even finishing his meal. Grace quickly puts down the hot jug she was holding and expresses her pain over the treatment she receives. At a restaurant, Patrick is reluctant to follow his friend's advice about his health. His friend warns him to stay away from alcohol, and Patrick eventually agrees. However, he also confesses that he has been avoiding his wife because of an infection he has. Meanwhile, Rosa walks in, greets them, and leaves. Patrick instantly becomes tense, realizing that Rosa overheard their conversation. His friend tries to reassure him, but Patrick remains uneasy. Rosa's mother soon enters the restaurant, and Patrick asks about Rosa. She informs them that Rosa was not around earlier, but just left, running at full speed. Hearing this, Patrick's anxiety spikes because he knows what is about to happen. Rosa rushes to Paulina and tells her what she overheard about Paulina's husband. Although Paulina initially knows how Rosa tends to spread rumors, she believes her this time. In a rage, she chases Rosa away and then confronts her husband. This leads to a heated argument at Rosa's mother's shop, but Patrick manages to escape. Frustrated, Rosa's mother runs home and expresses her anger. She has lost many customers because of Rosa's bad behavior. In her fury, she bites Rosa on the shoulder, causing Rosa to flee. At Melvin's house, Grace has packed her things and is ready to leave. Melvin's girlfriend tries to convince her to stay, but Grace refuses, saying she cannot tolerate the constant insults and slaps for minor mistakes. She explains to the gateman that, although he experiences the same treatment, he chooses to stay because of the good salary Melvin pays him and the children he is supporting in college. Grace, however, has made up her mind and leaves, wishing him well. That night, Melvin tries to get his girlfriend in the mood, but she turns him down. She wants to have a serious conversation about his temper and how people are avoiding him. As she speaks in a raised voice, Melvin loses his patience, yells at her, and walks away. The next day, Patrick storms over to threaten Rosa for telling his wife about his condition, which is now tearing his home apart. While trying to defend herself, Rosa casually mentions that another man frequently visits Patrick's wife, and the child they believe is Patrick's may not even be his. At first, Patrick is furious, but knowing Rosa's tendency to speak carelessly, he rushes home to confront his wife. However, she locks herself inside. That same day, after taking his medication, Melvin sits at the dining table, where his girlfriend joins him. He finally apologizes for his behavior the night before and admits that he struggles to control his anger when people provoke him. His girlfriend, however, becomes even more worried. If he cannot control his temper now, what will happen on their wedding day? She makes him realize the seriousness of his issue. Melvin expresses his love for her and heads to work. Melvin's girlfriend has a valid point. What will their wedding day be like, knowing that her husband-to-be has a terrible temper? What do you think about this situation? Kindly leave a comment below. Melvin came home that same day in great anger, raising his voice on a phone call as if he was about to attack someone. Then he stormed off to his room. The next day, 2 customers were discussing a young man named Melvin. One of them wished he could deal with him, but admitted he couldn't. Rosa, who was listening to their conversation, decided to join in. She knew Melvin because she had seen him fighting on the street before. When she realized they were talking about him, she paid closer attention. The lady among them mentioned that Melvin was suffering from HIV. Rosa was shocked and asked if his girlfriend knew about it, but they didn't respond. A little while later, Rosa went to see Melvin's girlfriend and told her everything she had heard about him. Because of the way Rosa described Melvin, his girlfriend, Hannah, believed her. She then went inside and started pressuring Melvin to go with her to the hospital for an HIV test. Melvin refused, saying he was busy, and Hannah walked away angrily. Later, on the street, Melvin confronted Hannah and assured her that he was not HIV positive. But because he refused to take the test, Hannah wanted to end their relationship. She told him about the stranger who informed her and insisted she had nothing to lose by believing them. Melvin tried to make her see that the claim didn't make sense, but she gave him the name and address of the person who had told her. Frustrated, he drove off. Wow, Rosa has really caused serious trouble between Melvin and Hannah. But why did Hannah believe a stranger so easily? And why did Melvin refuse the test if he was truly negative? What do you think? Leave a comment as we see if their relationship will survive this. That night, Melvin drank heavily and called Hannah to explain, but she hung up on him. The next day, Melvin managed to locate Rosa's shop. He forcefully told her to come with him to speak to his girlfriend and tell her the truth. When Rosa refused, he slapped her. Her mother pleaded with him to stop. As he was leaving, he mistakenly ran into Rosa, causing her to fall. She was rushed to the hospital immediately. At the hospital, Rosa's mother was in deep pain, blaming Melvin and hitting him. Then, the doctor arrived and informed them that Rosa was fine. However, when Melvin tried to go in and see her, Rosa's mother stopped him. Looking at Rosa lying helplessly on the hospital bed, her mother broke down in tears. Despite Rosa's bad mouth and poor behavior, her mother still loved her deeply. Meanwhile, Melvin sat in the reception area, waiting anxiously. The doctor later came out and explained Rosa's condition to Melvin. The impact of the accident had affected the lower region of her spine. It was swollen, and there was a disconnection, meaning she wouldn't be able to walk again. The doctor then left, leaving Melvin in deep regret. When Melvin got home, he was consumed with guilt. He realized he should have avoided the situation in the first place. Determined to make things right, he resolved to do whatever it took to help Rosa recover. Later that night, Hannah came over and told Melvin that his test results were out, and they were negative. She deeply regretted not hearing him out earlier and pleaded with him to fix things between them. However, Melvin told Hannah he needed space to clear his head. Even when she insisted, he stood his ground. Feeling hurt, Hannah left. The next morning, as Rosa woke up, her mother explained what the doctor had said. She sympathized with her daughter, feeling heartbroken that she would never walk again. Meanwhile, the doctor assured Melvin that they would keep trying their best. Melvin then went to apologize to Rosa's mother and explain his plans to help her daughter. He wanted to do everything possible, but flying her abroad for treatment wasn't an option because she wasn't fit to travel. After listening, Rosa's mother stood up and confronted him. She expressed her pain and anger, telling Melvin that he had ruined Rosa's life and turned her into a disadvantage. Because of this, she declared that he must marry Rosa, or else she would walk naked around the neighborhood and place a curse on him that would follow him for the rest of his life. But Melvin refused. Rosa also rejected her mother's decision at first. However, after her mother explained the implications of refusing, she reluctantly agreed. The two of them then discussed the situation. A week later, Melvin received a call from Rosa's mother. She gave him 2 weeks to do the needful, then ended the call. Melvin felt threatened, but knew he had little choice. Let's see how this turns out. Will Melvin find a way out, or will he be forced to go through with it? On a particular day, Hannah came to settle things with Melvin, but he wasn't giving her the chance. Then he got a call from his father, who scolded him. His father reminded him that his uncontrollable anger had landed him in yet another mess. This same issue had almost cost his father his political position in the past, but this time, Melvin wouldn't get away with it. His father warned that if he didn't marry the woman he crippled, he would no longer be part of the family. Then, he ended the call. Frustrated, Melvin walked out on Hannah and called his mother, asking her to talk to his father. Then he went to his room, completely unhappy. Finally, Melvin married Rosa and brought her to his home. However, their marriage was chaotic from the start. At one point, Melvin was about to slap Rosa because of the way she spoke to him, but he held back. She threatened to report him to his father. Rosa then promised to frustrate him in the marriage, and Melvin angrily took her to their room. In the early hours of the morning, Rosa woke up and started disturbing and hitting Melvin simply because she was hungry. Melvin warned her not to touch him, but she ignored him and continued. They exchanged harsh words, but in the end, Melvin had to give in and take her along to get food. Right at the dining table, Rosa called Melvin and complained that his food was not tasty. She asked him to get some salt for her. In response, Melvin said hurtful words to Rosa, to which she reminded him of how he put her in this condition. He then went to bring the salt and added a little to her food. While he was trying to understand why Rosa kept pestering him, Mr. Peter, the gatekeeper, walked in with the pack of water he was sent to buy. However, Melvin choked him just because he didn't bring the exact brand he was asked to get. Rosa felt bad about this and told Melvin to pick up the spoon she had intentionally dropped on the floor. She then gave him a knock on the head and called him names for the way he disrespected the old man. She even threatened to call his father, which made Melvin leave, feeling defeated. On his way home, Melvin reflected on his actions and the consequences they had brought upon him. Now, he had to spend the rest of his life with someone he didn't love. Determined to change, he decided to seek therapy to help him manage his anger issues. When Melvin got home, he apologized to Mr. Peter for how he had treated him the other day. Mr. Peter was surprised, but forgave him and went back to his duties. Melvin also apologized to Rosa for all he had put her through and for his immature behavior. However, Rosa didn't believe his words, knowing he was only acting. Melvin then left for his room. The next morning, as Melvin was prepared for work, he told Rosa her food was ready. Just as he was about to leave, Rosa requested her water and told him to stop pretending because he was becoming too nice. Melvin then took off his shirt and went to get the warm water for her. Rosa was now scared of his new behavior, finding it unusual. That same day, Rosa's mother came to visit her, but Rosa was not happy about how her mother had abandoned her. However, they reconciled. Rosa then told her mother about a man who constantly disturbed her whenever she wanted to get fresh air at the window. Her mother misunderstood the situation, so Rosa explained further, sharing the conversations she overheard between the man and his side chick. She felt bad for the man's wife. Hearing this, Rosa's mother burst into tears because the same thing had happened to her in the past, leading to her current condition. Yet, she felt Rosa had not learned her lesson. Her mother then warned her that she would break her hand if she didn't keep quiet. Rosa promised to remain silent. Later that day, Melvin returned home to find his staff pleading not to be fired. She admitted making a mistake in the document she had sent. For the first time, Melvin controlled his anger and calmly told her to send him the corrected version. Afterwards, he apologized to his staff for the way he had treated her all along. Mr. Peter and Rosa, who were watching in the background, were surprised. Even the staff was shocked as she left with mixed feelings. Melvin went inside and asked Rosa why her phone was switched off. Rosa was trying to stay away from people who would make her talk because she knew if she started, there would be a problem. Melvin then gave her a gift he had bought for her and went to his room, leaving Rosa surprised but happy. Later in the bedroom, Melvin came in and complimented Rosa's beauty, which she brushed off. She then poured out her pain, expressing frustration over not being able to try on the clothes Melvin had bought for her or achieve her personal goals. Melvin reassured her that he would help her accomplish everything she had ever wanted and apologized sincerely. However, Rosa dismissed his words. Seeing her pain, Melvin held and consoled her. The next morning, Melvin and Rosa woke up together. He asked how she was feeling and wanted to help her with things, but she turned him down. However, she insisted that he involve her in whatever he was doing since he was the reason she was in this condition. Melvin had to leave to work on himself, leaving Rosa in the room. The following day, when Melvin got back from work, he was shocked to see Rosa talking to a doll. She was doing this to control her habit of excessive talking, just as Melvin was also trying to control his temper. Despite all this, Rosa was still unhappy about being married to Melvin. She then asked him to help her control her mouth by slapping her whenever she started talking too much. In return, she warned that she would call his father if he misbehaved. Melvin, speechless, went to freshen up. Later in the bedroom, Rosa and Melvin began enjoying each other's company. They watched funny videos together, and Melvin gave her her wedding ring, telling her to always wear it, not just on special occasions. Afterwards, he went to get food since they were both hungry, while Rosa continued watching her movie. Meanwhile, she attempted to get into her wheelchair, but fell to the floor. When Melvin helped her up, they discovered that she could stand, even if only for a moment. Encouraged by this, they tried again, but Rosa quickly became exhausted. The next day, Melvin went straight to the hospital and informed the doctor about what had happened. The doctor confirmed that it was indeed a miracle and congratulated Melvin. He advised taking Rosa to physiotherapy so she could regain normal mobility. Melvin then followed the doctor to his office. Later that night, both Melvin and Rosa sat in silence, pondering their next steps. Months later, Rosa was finally able to walk. She was having a good time with Melvin when he received a call and excused himself. As Rosa walked around, Hannah entered and was happy for her. However, she told Rosa to walk out of Melvin's life. Just then, Melvin returned and defended Rosa, reminding Hannah that Rosa was still his wife. He then asked Hannah to leave, which she did. Rosa began to cry, touched by how Melvin stood up for her. Melvin assured Rosa that his life had changed since she came into it. They talked about many things and finally agreed to be with each other, getting to know themselves better. They then enjoyed their moment together. This story conveys many important lessons. It teaches that uncontrolled anger is destructive and that seeking help is necessary to prevent it from ruining one's life. It also highlights the importance of listening to people before jumping to conclusions and being patient when dealing with others. Most importantly, emotions should not drive us to make decisions that we will later regret in life. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting updates on the latest Nigerian movies. See you next time.